Native American chiefs were leaders of their respective tribes or nations, and their responsibilities varied depending on their tribe's customs and traditions. However, some of the typical duties of Native American chiefs included making decisions. Chiefs were responsible for making important decisions on behalf of their tribes, such as whether to go to war, where to hunt, or how to handle disputes. Maintaining peace. Chiefs were often responsible for maintaining peaceful relationships with other tribes and negotiating treaties and alliances. Preserving culture and traditions. Chiefs were responsible for preserving their tribe's culture and traditions, including storytelling, art, music, and religious ceremonies. Interestingly, Native American and First Nation tribes would go into detail about a mysterious creature, describing it as a hideous monster that you would never want to encounter. This highly debated creature is known as the wendigo, a North American monster that creates a large dividing line amongst amateur researchers who can't make their mind up on whether the creature is rooted within reality or was completely fabricated. Though the creature has often been compared to that of the jackalope, a known fictitious creature, there are many that swear the existence of the wendigo is not a fabrication of any kind. And in recent years, hikers have detailed their encounters with mysterious creatures that match the description of the wendigo, which frightened them enough to make them believe that the creature is not only real, but that it still lurks in the dense forests of our world, occasionally making themselves known to unsuspecting visitors. According to witness accounts, the wendigo is described as being somewhere between the size of an average person to being more than 15 feet tall, and has a physical appearance similar to a corpse with a skeleton frame, grey skin, sunken eyes, large yellow fangs, and a long tongue. The legend of the wendigo dates far back and tells of a terrible creature born more than 40,000 years ago that would disguise themselves as a human in the hopes of being led back to human villages to devour other humans and destroy their homes. Those who have had an encounter with the creature have said that it's related to large bipedal humanoids, although others disagree and said that they are occasionally seen within the same areas. Because the wendigo is known to be a creature of the cold weather, it has mostly been sighted in Canada and the colder northern states like Minnesota. As the 20th century began, the locals blamed the mysterious disappearances of people on the wendigo, which caused the creature to be feared. The wendigo is said to be about 15 feet in height, with a slender body, while others describe the creature as having a bony figure. Different versions tell different stories about its agility and speed, with some saying that it's very fast and can walk over long distances, even during very cold winters. Others say that the creature has a haggard walk, which implies that it has no speed. Unlike other carnivorous animals that pursue prey to capture and eat them, the wendigo lures people away from civilization by mimicking human voices and feasts on them once isolated. Most of the sightings of the wendigo happened between 1800 and 1920. Since then, only a few sightings of the wendigo have been reported. Whether one believes in the wendigo sightings or not, this may not be just any other folklore aimed at aimlessly scaring people. This legend has been associated with problems in real life like selfishness, violence, and greed. It's also associated with taboos against bad behavior. Some anthropologists believe that the stories of the wendigo are associated with stress among the Native Americans, due to the dwindling resources and fears of starvation. Considered to be one of the oldest known legends of the dogman creature across North America, the wendigo is an ancient beast of Native American folklore that seems to be eerily similar to the dogman sightings of the modern day and has legends that connect many of the separate tribes of Native Americans across the continent. For those that are not aware, Native American tribes often had separate cultures, legends, and territories all across the North American continent, and tended not to mix with other tribes if they could avoid it. Oddly enough, legends of the wendigo seem to be found across nearly every Native American tribe across North America. The Ojibwe tribe refers to the creature as the wendigo. The Cree language refers to the creature as the wetiko, but many different translations have been recorded across Native American legends, all the way as far as the Athabascan people of the Northwest Pacific coast, which refer to the creature as the wechuge, all of which describe a creature similar to each other and cannibalistic in nature. The wendigo is described as being a savage giant, more like an animal than a man, and standing at a height much larger than a normal man could ever become. The creature was the physical embodiment of gluttony and greed, and had a hunger that could never be satiated, going so far as eating its own limbs when food would get scarce. Some descriptions claim that the wendigo possessed the antlers of a deer and the legs of a wolf, though many descriptions claimed that the wendigo was a malevolent spirit that could possess a person and turn him into an insatiable giant. An Ojibwe teacher would later translate the legends of the wendigo into English, describing the creature with the following quote: "The wendigo was gaunt to the point of emaciation, its desiccated skin pulled tightly over its bones. With its bones pushing out against its skin, its complexion the ash grey of death, and its eyes pushed back deep into their sockets, the wendigo looked like a gaunt skeleton recently disinterred from the grave. What lips it had were tattered. It was unclean and suffering from suppuration of the flesh. The wendigo gave off a strange and eerie odour of decay and decomposition." End quote. According to the original legends surrounding the Patterson River area of Alaska, it was back during the early 1750s that a native tribe, known as the Tlingit, named the region surrounding the Patterson River the Bay of Death, after a mysterious incident would lead to the eradication of an entire settlement of more than 500 people. Although the event was attributed to a sudden mountain slide that collapsed exactly on the settlement near the bay, many members of the tribe blamed a strange humanoid creature, referred to as the kushtaka, for the attack, claiming that a team of the monsters had worked to cause the mountain slide that took out more than 500 of their tribesmen. Worried that another attack was soon to occur, the Tlingit left, moved out of the region, and inhabited a nearby piece of land where they would tell stories of their original land and the attacks from the unknown monsters. One of the most prominent figures of Tlingit folklore, the creatures referred to as the kushtaka, are described by Tlingit tribal members as being a shape-shifting humanoid creature of malevolent intentions. Legends claim that the creature often shifts between assuming the shape of a humanoid creature or an otter and potentially other animal-like forms impossible to describe. In several kushtaka legends, the creatures are cruel monsters that take pleasure in tricking the tribe's sailors into freezing or falling into the nearby icy Alaskan waters. In many stories of the kushtaka, the tribe claim that the creatures will often perform a strange otter-like illusion or shape-shifting trick in order to distract the unsuspecting tribe's sailor or travelers. After a sufficient amount of time, the unsuspecting traveler will suddenly find himself transformed into a fellow kushtaka, unable to ever return to his friends or family. In the event that this creature is not interested in transforming a tribal member into a shape-shifting creature, it's been known to attack travelers, which then causes them to vanish. In some legends, the creature is known for tricking tribal members into traveling too close to the waters by mimicking the sound of a baby or the screams of a woman. It's also claimed that the creature can be heard by listening out for a high-pitched three-part whistle in the patter of low, high, then low again. Anthropologists have argued that the creature appears to be the cultural equivalent of the boogeyman, often used by mothers in order to warn their children not to journey too close to the surrounding waters or wander too far off alone in the snow. For this reason, it's commonly cited amongst legends that children are especially vulnerable to the kushtaka, as many disappearances are tied to the creature. By the early 1900s, many American explorers had heard the legends of the bay and were interested in supposed claims that the fresh mountainside was riddled with rich pockets of gold nuggets and rich veins of golden ore. Hoping to strike it rich, a large number of prospectors would make the previous expedition out to the Alaskan wilderness with the hopes of entering into the bay and staking a claim near the mountainside. As is to be expected with such a perilous journey, very few of those that traveled to Alaska in the hopes of suddenly becoming rich would actually survive the journey. According to the vast majority of the stories surrounding the explorers, it's said that they were believed to have perished during the Alaskan winter months, either due to the freezing temperatures or insufficient supplies. Only a handful of survivors would make it out of the bay, with bizarre stories to match their impossible-to-explain survival rate. According to many of the expeditionists, while they had been traveling through the region, they had passed by two bodies of water, one later identified as S Lake, and the other described as being in the shape of a crescent moon. As they crossed the area, many of the survivors claimed that they had been attacked by an unknown devil-like creature that lived in the nearby wilderness. The survivors described the creature as being something between a man or a monkey, with their paw prints having been halfway between the formation of the human foot with the passing of a native bear. Each one of the creatures was described as standing at a height of about 4 feet tall, with large claws at the end of their limbs, covered from head to toe in long, shaggy hair. As the creatures moved closer to attack the traveling expeditionists, many of the survivors remembered smelling a rancid, foul smell, similar to the stench of a skunk, and believed the smell was emanating from the many different sores that were visible on the bodies of the creatures. Very few of the expeditionists survived the attack, as the creatures appeared to have utilized a primitive form of intelligence and organized their attacks as a team, cutting off some of the travelers from the larger group to be taken down individually with ease. Even after fighting and getting away from the creatures, many of the expeditionists would later succumb to starvation, as many of the survivors claimed that the area surrounding the bay appeared to lack any small game or wildlife of any kind. So, what do you make of these strange Native American legends? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.